You know, I will be the #1. But to prove that,
who you fight?
I have to beat this man.
Who did you fight?
I have to beat this man.
Name one person you fought.
But the only good record you've got. Yeah, David Lemieux's a bum. He's a bum. David Lemieux's a bum. David Lemieux is a bum. He's not worth talking about. I don't take no credit for beating David Lemieux, because someone can't beat a little midget this big, then they're doing something wrong.
They're selling you all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back. Trust me, I back.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you will do nothing.
I'll tell you what, bro. You know, I was out there, I was fighting all the hitters, bro. You ain't fought no hitters.
Come on, guys. It's normal.
I'm not saying I would fight you. I would kill you.
John, do you think John, do you think I'm just gonna sit there and let you kill me, John? I mean, really?
No, don't be scared, homie. I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I am gonna beat you into the living death. I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, you know, people like that get slapped.
That's fucking illegal.
Next year, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a simulated death match. And you haven't simulated anybody's death yet.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
What is the game plan going in against him?
The game plan is you go in there, hit him with some good shit, don't get hit, and come home with a pocket full of cash.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke?
Yes. What is up? What is up? Mixed Combat Radio family. Another daily edition of the show. Live 10 p.m. in the UK, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. in the Pacific. Every day on YouTube. And obviously podcast form on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, etc. And obviously on patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. Help support the channel. Every dollar counts. We are completely funded by you, the fans, the listeners. You are my board of directors, so every dollar helps. But even if you don't want to do that, obviously free things like liking the show, sharing, subscribing, leaving a review on iTunes, all free ways to help the show and help it grow. But yes, tons of topics to get to. Obviously, Manny Pacquiao, Eddie Hearn rumors now sort of coming back. You know, we heard a little bit about it, I wanted to say, maybe a few months ago. Now we're hearing about it again. Obviously, we have more of a confirmation of Ryota Murata versus Rob Brant, and that being official for October 20th in Mandalay Bay Center in Las Vegas. And obviously, I think the huge news for the combat sports world, and even if you're not a boxing fan, not an MMA fan, and you don't really follow it, this is a fight that, even as if you're a pure hardcore boxing fan, you should love. Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis being not announced, being in the works for UFC 229, not a completely official. Can't wait to dive into that one. It should be a fun show. But quickly, before I do, hipsters here, haters beware, as Lord Jacob always wants me to say. Bayside Boxing, Ellie, Steven, Jonathan, Fat Apples, Johnny. Check out Johnny on SoundCloud, AJXNI is his SoundCloud name, I believe. Go check him out. Always a good friend and supporter of the show. Kyle's in the chat as well, and Rick, pound for pound supporter. So yes, we are here. We are here. Johnny, I do apologize about all the MMA talk, but it's a slow day for boxing. It is. But let's get right into it, because this news, I'm not gonna say like first broke, but it kind of did with the Boxing Voice. You can go check out their interview. Well, let me pull it up for you, just so you know which interview it is. It's called the Eddie Hearn Questions and Answers with Big Time Promoter, I believe is what it's called. It's this one right here. So if you're watching, hold on, I didn't transition. My bad. Boom. Right there. This one right here, Eddie Hearn. This one right there. Yep. Eddie Hearn Questions and Answers with Big Time Promoter. It's that interview. And there's also stuff that we're going to talk about later with Mike Garcia in that one as well. But basically, and then on top of it, Steve Kim coming out and confirming that his sources are saying the same thing. or at least furthering that. We're going to get to that as well. But Eddie Hearn, DAZN, Manny Pacquiao, they have a meeting, I believe it was today in Boston. Not Manny Pacquiao specifically, his advisors. I do want to specify that. I believe he's still in the Philippines. And then on top of that, Steve Kim, like I said, came out today and said that his sources said that Manny Pacquiao is leaning that way, and a fight in December is targeted. I think I'm not going to say it's safe to say that Manny Pacquiao is heading towards that direction. An Amir Khan fight seems to be on the horizon, but all signs are sort of pointing that way. Obviously, Bob Arum flew to the Philippines to meet with Manny Pacquiao, I want to say maybe a few weeks ago, and hoping to sort of keep him and get Manny Pacquiao back under the Top Rank fold. That seems unlikely. Manny Pacquiao and his spokespeople and his advisors have all really said basically everything negative they could say in the media about Bob Arum and Top Rank and Freddie Roach and the entire conglomerate. So I just think that we are seeing this. We are seeing Manny Pacquiao go to DAZN, go to Eddie in the next week or two. That is highly possible, in my opinion, and probably the most likely outcome if you're Manny Pacquiao. I wouldn't be surprised if you're Showtime or others out there that you sort of, petition for him. You sort of pitch what you have for Manny Pacquiao. But I feel like that Amir Khan fight for him is just what he wants. I feel like it's heading that way. Amir Khan wants it. Ellie saying the Pac versus Khan fight doesn't excite me at all. Sorry. I'm okay with that. I think it excites me a little bit, to be honest, with where they're at respectively in their career. I'm okay with the matchup. Does it blow me away? No. Of course not. They're not the best welterweight in the world. If it was Spence Crawford, it's a different story. If it's Spence versus the winner of Garcia Porter, very different welterweight fight. Pac versus Khan is a good fight for them respectively. It may not be the best fight for the consumer, but I would also probably make the argument that for those guys, what they could probably produce for us, that is probably the best fight for the consumer that we could get, most competitive fight. So yeah, and it doesn't, if they fight each other, it doesn't mean that one of the better welterweights gets a tune-up / cherry with them, respectively. And I kind of don't want to use that term too harshly, but, I mean, do we really think that either Pacquiao or Khan can give guys like Spence, Danny, Porter, Keith on the comeback, Terrence Crawford, trouble? Like, do we think that? No, I don't think so. So therefore, why not fight each other? I'd rather than fight each other than fight somebody that could be used in a better fight, to be honest. But definitely, I think if you're Manny Pacquiao, you're probably going to get a lot of money with Eddie Hearn and DAZN. You are probably the biggest name DAZN will have got at that point. I feel like that's safe to say. Even in 2018, I think that's still safe to say. With the likes of Andrade, Jesse Vargas, etc. Pacquiao's still obviously a far bigger name. But speaking of names, I want to slightly transition, but still on this topic because it was in that same interview with Eddie Hearn and TBV and talking about DAZN, and it was Mike Garcia and how Eddie apparently had a conversation with Mike Garcia on Sunday, detailing a little bit about how it's going well. He feels like he's going to get a big name, and obviously he's mentioning Mikey a lot. And this is obviously just after the news that Showtime is pushing back Spence Garcia 2019 because of the schedule. Just saying it's all a little bit too of a coincidence there, in my opinion. For all the people that have been really shitting on DAZN, shitting on Eddie, which I think there's some deserved criticism there, obviously. But if he comes out in the next month or so and picks up Mikey Garcia and Pacquiao, those are two very good pickups that we have to look at objectively and say, salute to Hearn. Those are two big players in the sport. One obviously is more of a fading veteran, but he's still a legend. He's still the second biggest pay-per-view star of all time. And the other is probably not necessarily the future of boxing. That's way too hyperbolic, but he's one of those guys that I think a lot of people in the industry are looking at to carry the sport for the next several years, the next 5 years or so. Him, Crawford, Spence, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Canelo, in a way, the Charlos. These are all names that the industry is looking at to carry the sport forward. And Mikey is one of those names. So to get him, I think, would be a huge move. And again, it's been something that I think is the most obvious and probably should be the easiest big-name U.S. draw to get for Eddie. He doesn't have a deal with Showtime. He doesn't have a deal with Heyman. He's a complete free agent in terms of networks, promoters, etc. He should be the easiest to get. And if, again, I've always said if he doesn't, that's really indicative of maybe the lack of, not necessarily authority Eddie has in this market, but maybe respect. Maybe those aren't the right terms, but lack of pull. He really doesn't have that pull in the U.S. market yet, in my opinion. But again, if he picks up Manny Pacquiao, Mike Garcia, I think things start shifting. I think he instantly becomes in the conversation of, well, who's the best promoter in the U.S.? Is it him? Is it Top Rank? Is it PBC? In terms of the conglomerates, is it Showtime, ESPN, DAZN? Then that becomes a narrative if he starts picking up these names. Thus far, it's still kind of a, for the UK audience, they would know it's the Box Nation right now for us. Great for the hardcores. I think DAZN's great for us. We're boxing Super Series. We're going to get tons of UK matchups and cards live. When before we would have to find illegal streams. I love that. But that is still a hardcore audience and niche. Guys like Manny Pacquiao and Mike Garcia, they reach outside that hardcore quite often. So those are names you need to start getting at this point. But we're going to jump off that. Leave a comment below in the chat, in the video, whatever it is. Do you think Pacquiao and Mike Garcia will be DAZN / Matchroom USA fighters by the end of next month, in the next couple of weeks, or at all? What do you think? I'm curious as to what the feel is of the fans at where these two guys go, because I think we have to admit that these two guys are still major players and major draws in the marketplace in the U.S., and I feel like that shouldn't really be arguable. But moving on, me and Bass are having a really good debate in the chat. I want to say yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. About Ryota Murata, and obviously we're under the impression that was going to be Murata versus Quickly. It is not, actually, and Bob Arum not getting his way. I mean, that is kind of a shocker. But per Dan Raphael and ESPN, secondary middleweight world titleist, a.k.a. the WBA regular, air quotes, champion, Ryota Murata, a.k.a. Toto Corolla, will make his mandatory challenge, fight his mandatory challenger Rob Brant October 20th, the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. Main event of Top Rank Boxing on ESPN Plus. So basically it. And the crux of it was, obviously, there was this weird clause for this fight where, usually the mandatory gets 25% of the purse bid, right? That's usually what it is, industry-wide. That's the industry standard. But for this fight, it was 50-50. Murata didn't like that. But then again, he didn't want to vacate his kind of worthless belt, because let's be honest, that worthless belt got Daniel Jacobs the shot at Triple G. So once in a while, that WBA regular belt is a great launching point to the actual champions. I believe that's what Murata's hoping to do. But yeah, I'll be honest. I think Murata has looked lackluster as of late when compared to other Japanese fighters at this point. Kenshiro Diagahiga, Inoue, the list goes on of names that just have been looking a little bit better lately than Murata, in my opinion. And then Brant, coming off the loss to Jurgen Bremer, really just an untested, unproven commodity. I don't know. It's just not a fight that I really am hyped for in any way. But Murata is a guy that is a massive draw in Japan. He is a guy that can pull millions and millions of viewers over there. So, again, ESPN and Top Rank hoping that Murata can stay at this position and eventually fight Triple G and give him that shot, I think. Or obviously Canelo, if Canelo were to beat Triple G. But yes, that is obviously it's official. I think it's 100% official. Because both ESPN and Top Rank are telling them this. And obviously Greg Cohen and Rob Brant's side, they are the one that won the purse bid, so they obviously won it. So it's pretty much all set in stone. Last piece of boxing news, and if there are no callers, in the queue, pressing 1, number 323-870-4051, or email me, mixcombatradio@gmail.com if you want that link. We will roll right into MMA and then to callers at the end of the show as well. And remember, we'll be back live tonight on YouTube and obviously podcast form later for an immediate reaction to the PBC card, not a live fight chat. I'll make that very clear. I would not be doing a live fight chat for today's PBC on FS1 card, but I will be doing an immediate reaction. So you can call in live after the fights. Should be directly after those scorecards are read. We're going to go live and give our, obviously, takes and thoughts on all these prospects fighting. And obviously, you guys can call in. Same number, 323-870-4051. Save that number because that number is not changing anytime soon. But moving over to last boxing news of the day, according to a Polish outlet, which I'm not going to try to pronounce, and by way of Michael Benson, the Season 2 World Boxing Super Series Cruiserweight quarterfinals have supposedly already been decided. Marius Briedis versus Noel Gavor. Ironero Dorticos versus Maciej Mastanak, which actually is not that bad, I'll be honest. So, I mean, it's a very, very quiet air horn. I mean, quiet, like very quiet. Yeah, there we go. Maxim Vasilov versus Krzysztof Glowacki. I will say this. I'm just glad Glowacki has started getting some more shine again. Salute to that, because I think it's been a guy that once he lost to both, I think it was Briedis and Usyk, he sort of just fell off a bit. And I think he is much better than what anyone is, saying, basically. Jonathan Vicklin asking in the chat, saying, do you know anyone doing live coverage of Saturday's card? Matt, live coverage as in live fight chats for the top rank card? That would be me. Live coverage as in being on the scene. I mean, Fight Hub should be there. Fight Hype should be there. I don't know if TBV will be there. Seconds Out should be there. I mean, yeah. But anyways, digressing. Andrew Tabiti versus Ruslan Fafer. Again, just glad Tabiti's at least getting some shine, but the way I'm going to try to look at this is it's extra. We were used to 2 tournaments, now we get 3, and this could be a huge springboard to Andrew Tabiti, because even if Tabiti beats, a Dorticos and Briedis and they get easy wins, or a Glowacki, that really establishes Tabiti as a presence and an elite competitor at cruiserweight. So I'm kind of okay with it. And again, it's, in my mind, it's extra. The bantamweight tournament. No, sorry. Yeah, it's the bantamweight tournament. That should be fantastic. That's worth almost the $10 a month for DAZN. Let's be honest. So I'm not too upset. I'll be completely fair to them. But moving on, like I said, do we have any callers before I move on? Santiago, did you press 1? No, and no international callers. So we are moving on directly to MMA. Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis. The news that definitely, I'm not going to say not only broke, again, MMA Twitter, but it should have broke all of Twitter, because it's that fucking good of a fight. And plus, Tony Ferguson coming back from basically a 6-month recovery time of a torn ACL and LCL and PCL sort of surgery. It was some insane. Damn, phone. What are you doing there? I apologize about that. But yes, Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis announced, or at least in play, for UFC 229. And this, before I actually talk about the fight itself, this is, again, another situation of the UFC announcing a fight or putting it out to the media before really there's anything official about it. It's not as egregious as, let's say, Romero versus Paulo Costa. They literally put out a poster saying the fight was official before the fight was signed, anything. So that's probably obviously a much more egregious case, but this one's similar to me, where the UFC is definitely putting out information to pressure fighters into fights. But I do believe this one's actually happening. This one will happen, in my opinion. I think Tony Ferguson has no qualms with fighting Anthony Pettis, who's a former champion. Anthony Pettis coming off a great win against Michael Chiesa. Not necessarily looking back to form, but having that slight glimpse, that slight occasion of looking fantastic when he finished him. maybe he comes out here and has a Renaissance-like performance against Tony Ferguson, who really is not the smothering wrestler that gives Anthony Pettis that struggle. And then we have Tony Ferguson coming off not the huge layoff, but the significant layoff due to the level of injury he had and the level of surgery he had. It just happened to be an extremely record-breaking recovery time for it. What's he going to look like? Tons of storylines into this. And then on top of that, this is the same event as Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. So you're going to have Ferguson, Anthony Pettis, Conor McGregor, and Khabib all on the same press conference stage. Tell me that's not exciting. Tell me that's not worth money alone just to watch those 4 guys interact together on the stage. That would be interesting to say the least. And I'm slightly picking Ferguson, but obviously it's one of those where you question whether that injury is going to change him forever. But moving on, actually we're going to skip that topic. I don't feel like doing it. Some quick topics, quick hits before we head into callers. Again, 323-870-4051. Call in or international. Like I said, mixedcombatradio@gmail.com. Email me, and I can get you that call-in link. But to digress slightly, obviously, to the news, Olivia Aubin-Mercier versus Gilbert Burns announced for UFC 231, a fantastic grappling match. Gilbert Burns and Mercier, probably some of the better credentialed and traditional Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in the lightweight division. I'm hyped on that one for sure. Kyle saying if Pettis wins this shit, it's going to be bananas. That is definitely true. Last piece of news before we head out of here. Bellator re-signs former heavyweight champion Vitaly Minakov. I'm kind of surprised by this. Vitaly Minakov, a guy that always seemed to not be a company man for Bellator. Seemed like a guy that might go over to the UFC. All of a sudden, re-sign with Bellator. I think he was stripped of his belt. He will fight the winner of the heavyweight Grand Prix tournament, which obviously I believe it's Fedor versus Chael Sonnen, and then Mitrione versus Rampage Jackson? No. I think that's right. I could be wrong. But yes, interesting news, at least for Bellator. And again, Bellator signing a bunch of European talent in the last couple weeks. Should be interesting to see what they can do, especially since their ratings have been utterly shit this year. So hopefully they can turn that around. Oh, sorry about that. But yes, call in. Nope, no callers. We're going to head on out of here then. Like I said, kind of a quick show. Be back later tonight. What time? I don't know what the time the fights are, but whenever the fights are over, we'll be live here. Taking your calls, 323-870-4051. Hit the like button, subscribe, share the show. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. What else? That's about it. Oh, yeah, if you listen on podcasts, which a lot of you do. Oh, Cal saying Mitrione versus Rampage. Thank you. I knew I had it wrong. I knew it was Rampage. Thank you. Santiago saying prelims are at 3:30 Pacific time and main card at 5. So, should be a quick one, or at least an early one today. That's nice. But we'll be live whenever that's over on YouTube. Make sure you leave a review on iTunes. I do read the reviews on iTunes, so if you do leave one, I read them. And in fact, let me go see if we have any before we head on out of here. Because last time I checked, I think we did have a new one. I was waiting for more. Because you never know. Always want to give you guys the shine. And another housekeeping note. I've said this numerous times already, but just want to make it known again. No show on Sunday for Patreon, and no Monday show. It is my kid's birthday, so we're doing a little fun thing. I think I've read all of them. I believe so. Just in case, I'll read this review from in August 2nd, which was a few weeks ago. From God, I really think this is Fugatti. I really do. And its name is Dick Biggenstein or Stein, Jewish. Saying excellent podcast, 5 stars. I know this podcast is new, but Matt is a seasoned host and does an excellent job in the role. It's nice to be able to get Matt's insight into upcoming fights, potential fights, and everything else fight-related. As a fan of MMA and boxing, oh, then it's not Fu. It's also nice to be able to get all the important info from one source. Keep it up, Matt. I feel like I read that, but I just want to make sure I get Dick Biggenstein's. God, you fucking asshole. I want to make sure I get all of you guys' reviews. Make sure you guys get all the due credit you guys do as my board of directors, my investors. So salute to you. Kyle also adding Glory Card in China on tomorrow, 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. ESPN News. Santiago saying live fight chat Saturday or not? Yes, definitely live fight chat. I don't know how it's going to be organized or structured, whether it be a dual one like we could do for UFC and the boxing card, or if we're going to do a separate one. I don't know how it's going to be done, but we will. And then also, we're going to do a separate immediate reaction show. I know I've done that maybe a couple times at TBV. I'm going to start doing that more often, where the live fight chat is completely separate from the immediate reaction. So if you're listening to the telecast live and all that, or whatever, you have friends over, whatever it is, and you don't want to listen to the live fight chat but still want to hear my immediate reaction, there will be a separate show. So do not worry. You can find that in a different way and all that stuff. But anyways, Matt, Hipster Hunter, MCR. What else? Mix on my radio. All platforms. Peace. Have a good day.